Kim Daho sat in his small apartment on New Seoul, Earth's first colony world, staring at the glowing blue letter that floated above his coffee table. He reached out to touch it, but his hand passed right through the hologram. The message was simple. You have been chosen for the celestial arena. Accept or decline. He laughed at first. Everyone knew about the arena, the greatest fighting competition in the known universe. They also knew that humans never lasted long there. Being from Earth, a death world, as the aliens called it, meant that other species saw humans as interesting but ultimately doomed competitors. Daho walked to his window and looked out at the colony's dark sky, lit by 3 moons. 10 years had passed since he left Earth's special forces. Now he worked security for the colony's mining operations, stopping thieves and handling the occasional dangerous wildlife. It wasn't exciting, but it paid the bills. His communication device beeped. On the screen, an alien face appeared, long and gray, with 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. Greetings, Kim Daho. I am Representative Lyra of the Arena Council. Your profile caught our attention. Your species has interesting qualities. Daho crossed his arms. Interesting. You mean you want another human to lose in the first round for everyone's entertainment? Lyra's upper eyes blinked. You misunderstand. Humans are unique. While other species excel in strength, speed, or size, humans have something rare: adaptability. Your bodies can survive incredible stress. Your minds can solve problems in unexpected ways. We believe the right human could go far. How far? Daho asked. No human has survived past the first round, Lyra admitted. But your combat records show promise. Your experience fighting on 3 different planets against various threats makes you an ideal candidate. Daho walked to his wall, where an old photo hung. It showed his old Special Forces team standing beside the corpse of a giant predator that had terrorized one of the colony's outlying posts. They had tracked it for days through rough terrain, adapting their tactics until they finally brought it down. What's the prize? He asked. For the overall champion. Technology and knowledge beyond your imagination. Enough to change your world's future, but more importantly, respect. Recognition that humans are more than just fascinating primitives from a harsh world. Daho thought about Earth's position in the galactic community. Humans were treated like curiosities, tough and entertaining, but not taken seriously. Maybe it was time to change that. If I accept, when do I leave? Immediately, Lyra said. The arena transport is already in orbit. Daho looked around his small apartment. His life here was comfortable but boring. He missed the challenge, the rush of facing the unknown. And maybe, just maybe, he could prove something for all of humanity. One condition, he said. I want to know everything about my opponents before each fight. No surprises. Lyra's 4 eyes widened slightly. That's not standard procedure. Then find another human to die in your arena. Daho turned away from the screen. There was a long pause. Very well, Lyra finally said. Your request is granted. Do you accept the invitation? Daho touched the floating blue hologram. It turned green at his touch. I accept. The world around him began to shimmer. The transport ship's teleporter was already working. As his apartment faded away, Daho smiled. Win or lose, he was about to make history. And if the aliens thought humans were fascinating before, they hadn't seen anything yet. The last thing he saw before the teleporter took him was his reflection in the window. A stocky, determined-looking man in his late 30s, with scars that told stories of survival against impossible odds. Perfect qualities for a death world species about to shake up the universe. Then everything went white, and Kim Daho's journey to the celestial arena began. The teleporter's white light faded, and Daho found himself standing in a massive circular room. The ceiling rose so high he couldn't see it, disappearing into darkness above. The walls glowed with a soft blue light that reminded him of Earth's oceans. Welcome to the void, Lyra said, stepping out from behind a curved desk. In person, she was taller than Daho expected, nearly 7 feet high. Her gray skin had a slight shimmer to it. The greatest arena in all known space. Daho looked around. Other aliens moved through the room, some walking on many legs, others floating in the air. They all stopped to stare at him. "Why do they call it the Void?" he asked. "Because," Lyra said, "this station exists in the empty space between galaxies. No laws here except arena laws. No politics except arena politics." She handed him a small device that looked like a watch. "This will help you understand all languages. Please put it on." As soon as he clasped it around his wrist, the strange sounds around him turned into clear words. Most of them were not friendly. "Another human meatbag," one floating creature said. "How long will this one last?" 10 minutes. A tall, spider-like alien laughed. "I bet he breaks easily," another whispered. Daho ignored them. He had faced worse in training. "Show me where I'll stay," he said to Lyra. She led him through long hallways. The walls were covered in screens showing past arena fights. In one, a creature made of crystal shattered another fighter with a single punch. In another, a warrior covered in flames melted through their opponent's armor. "Here is your room," Lyra said, stopping at a metal door. "It's designed to match Earth conditions." Inside, the room was simple but comfortable. A bed, a training area, and a window looking out into space. The view made Daho's heart skip. Complete darkness, broken only by tiny, distant galaxies. "Your first match is in 3 days," Lyra said. "As promised, here is information about your opponent." She handed him a tablet. Daho sat down and started reading. His eyes widened. "This can't be right." "It is correct," Lyra said quietly. "Your first opponent is another human. But you said no human has survived the first round." "This one is different." Lyra seemed uncomfortable. "Li Jaiwan arrived 5 years ago. He never fought. Instead, he agreed to become part of our research program." Daho scrolled through the information. The more he read, the colder he felt. "What did you do to him?" "We improved him. Studied how far we could push human limits. He is still technically human, but enhanced. Stronger, faster, better." Anger rose in Daho's chest. "You turned him into a lab experiment." "He volunteered," Lyra said, but she wouldn't meet his eyes. "The Arena Council believes this will be an interesting match. Natural human capability versus enhanced human design. And if I win, then you prove that true human strength is worth more than artificial improvements." She walked to the door. "Training facilities are open all hours. I suggest you use them." After she left, Daho stood at the window for a long time. In the reflection, he could see other creatures walking past his room, pointing and talking. To them, this was just entertainment. Another human about to fail. But they didn't understand. On Earth, humans had survived ice ages, predators, diseases, and their own wars. They had pushed into space despite all odds. And now, Daho would show them what a true human could do. He turned to the training area. 3 days wasn't long, but it was enough. He would face this modified human, this Li Ji-1, and he would prove that real human strength couldn't be copied in a lab. As he started his training, he heard more aliens gathering outside his room to watch. Let them stare. Let them whisper. Soon, they would learn why humans were called Deathworlders. And it wasn't because they died easily. It was because they refused to die at all. The arena was bigger than Daho had imagined. He stood in a circular fighting space 1/2 mile wide, surrounded by floating seats filled with thousands of alien spectators. The air felt thick with excitement and bloodlust. "Your opponent approaches," Lyra's voice came through his earpiece. "Remember, fights end only with surrender or death." Across the arena, a door opened. Li Ji-1 walked out, and Daho's heart sank. The man looked human at first glance, but something was wrong. His movements were too smooth, too perfect. His skin had a metallic shine, and his eyes glowed with a faint blue light. "Greetings, brother," Jai-1 said. His voice sounded partly mechanical. "They said another human would come. They always do." Daho took a fighting stance. "What did they do to you?" "They made me better." Jai-1 smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Humans are weak. Flesh and bone break too easily. But with improvements." He lifted his arm, and the skin split open to reveal shining metal underneath. "Now I am perfect." The fight started without warning. G1 moved faster than any human should, crossing the distance between them in a blur. His fist crashed into the spot where Daho had been standing a split second before. But Daho had trained for this. He rolled away, letting years of special forces training guide his movements. G1 was faster and stronger, but his attacks were predictable, like a machine. "Stand still and die with honor," Jai-1 said, launching another attack. Daho ducked under a punch that would have taken his head off. "You forgot what makes humans strong," he said, breathing hard. "It's not our bodies." "Then what?" Jai-1 asked, throwing more punches. "Our spirit," Daho shouted. He had noticed something. Every time Jai-1 attacked, there was a small delay before his next move, like a computer processing data. The crowd roared as Daho started fighting back. He didn't try to match Jai-1's strength or speed. Instead, he fought dirty. He threw arena sand in Jai-1's eyes. He attacked the same spot repeatedly, looking for weak points in the mechanical parts. "Fighting without honor," Jai-1 said, his voice angry. "Like an animal." "Fighting to win," Daho corrected. "Like a human." Jai-1's frustration made him sloppy. His perfect movements became jerky. When he charged forward, Daho was ready. He sidestepped and stuck out his foot. G1, with all his mechanical perfection, hadn't expected such a simple trick. The cyborg crashed to the ground. Before he could get up, Daho jumped on his back and wrapped his arms around Jai-1's neck, one of the few parts that still looked fully human. "Surrender," Daho said. "Never," Jai-1 growled. His arm transformed into a blade. But Daho was ready. He squeezed harder, using a chokehold he'd learned years ago. Machine or not, Jai-1 still needed to breathe. The cyborg's movements became weaker. The glowing blue eyes flickered. Finally, Jai-1's hand tapped the ground 3 times, the universal signal for surrender. The arena erupted in shocked silence, followed by scattered applause. Daho stood up, his body aching but his spirit strong. Jai-1 lay on the ground, his mechanical systems whirring as they reset. "How?" he asked. "I was perfect." "That was the problem," Daho said. "Humans aren't perfect. We're messy. We cheat. We adapt. That's what makes us human." As medical teams rushed in, Daho looked up at the watching aliens. Their whispers filled his translator. "He beat a cyborg. Using primitive techniques. Maybe these humans are more than we thought." Lyra's voice came through his earpiece again. "Congratulations. You're the first human to survive round 1. But the real games haven't even started." Daho nodded, looking at his bruised knuckles. He had just proved that pure human spirit could beat enhanced human machinery. But he knew this was just the beginning. The real test would be showing the universe what humanity could really do. Daho sat in the medical bay, watching as a blue-skinned doctor treated his bruises. His victory over Jai-1 had changed things. Now, other fighters watched him with curiosity instead of mockery. "Those cuts need proper treatment," a voice said from the doorway. A woman in a white coat stood there, her black hair tied back neatly. "I'm Park Sunmai, resident human expert here." "Human expert?" Daho asked as she walked in. Sun Li nodded, taking over from the alien doctor. "I study how different species fight. Been here 3 years. You're the first human to really interest me." She cleaned his wounds with something that stung less than normal medicine. Your next opponent is a crystalline, she said. They're living crystal beings. Most fighters try to shatter them. All fail. Why are you helping me? Daho asked. Because you fight smart, she replied. Crystallines have a weak spot. They hate sudden temperature changes. Most fighters never figure it out. Over the next few days, Sun Mai became Daho's secret weapon. She knew things about alien biology that no other human did. With her help, he prepared for his next fight. The crystalline warrior was beautiful and terrible. It stood 8 feet tall, its body shimmering with rainbow colors. The crowd cheered as it entered the arena. Remember the plan. Sun Mi's voice came through his earpiece. She had replaced Lyra as his handler after proving more helpful. The fight began. The crystalline moved like flowing water, its crystal body reflecting light in blinding patterns. But Daho had trained for this. He carried 2 things, a heating rod and a cooling spray, both legal arena weapons. Your death will be artwork, the crystalline said, its voice chiming like bells. Daho didn't answer. He dodged the crystal spears that shot from the creature's body. Each movement brought him closer. The crystalline didn't realize his plan until it was too late. Daho struck with the heating rod, making part of the crystal body glow red hot. Before it could recover, he sprayed the same spot with freezing spray. The sudden temperature change did exactly what Sun Mai predicted. Cracks appeared in the crystalline's body. It screamed in a sound like breaking glass. But Daho wasn't finished. He repeated the process, creating more cracks until the creature fell to its knees. Surrender, Daho said, or the next crack might be your last. The crystalline raised its hands. I yield to the clever ape, it said. The crowd went wild. 2 victories. A human was actually winning. Later, in the training room, Sun Mi showed him videos of his next opponent. They're calling you the Deathworld Devil now, she said. Some fighters have withdrawn rather than face you. Why did you really help me? Daho asked. Sun Mi's face grew serious. Because something's wrong here. The arena isn't just about fighting. They're studying us, learning our weaknesses. I've seen their secret labs. Like what they did to Jaiwan. Worse, they want to know how each species fights, how they think, how they die. She looked around nervously. Your victories are messing up their data. Humans aren't supposed to be this good. Daho thought about this. So every fight teaches them more about how to defeat humans. Exactly. But you're teaching them the wrong things. They expect brute force. You show them cunning. They expect surrender. You show them determination. A plan began forming in Daho's mind. Then let's really confuse them. Teach me everything you know about alien biology, every weakness, every strength. Sun Mi smiled. Now you're thinking like a true scientist and a true human. They spent the rest of the day preparing. Outside, the arena buzzed with excitement about the rising human champion. But inside that training room, 2 humans plotted to turn the arena's own game against it. The universe wanted to study humanity. They were about to learn more than they bargained for. Sun Mi led Daho through dark maintenance tunnels behind the arena. They moved quietly, avoiding security cameras. After his 3rd victory, against a warrior made of living smoke, she had insisted on showing him something important. The real arena isn't up there, she whispered. It's down here. They reached a hidden door. Sun Mi placed her hand on it, and it slid open silently. Inside was a massive laboratory filled with screens and strange equipment. Look, she said, pointing to the screens. Each one showed different arena fights. But these weren't normal recordings. They showed body scans, brain patterns, and detailed biological data from each fighter. They record everything, Daho said, understanding now. Every punch, every move, every weakness. Sun Mi finished. The arena is just a front. This is a military research facility. They study how each species fights and dies. Perfect for planning wars. A new voice spoke from behind them. Very clever, Humans. They turned to see Director Song, the arena's leader. He looked almost human, except his skin was pure white, and his eyes were solid black. 2 guards stood with him, holding weapons. "We wondered how long it would take you to find this place," Song said. "Humans are always so curious." "Why?" Daho asked. "Why pretend it's just a sport?" Song smiled. "The universe is full of dangerous species. We need to understand them all. Humans especially interest us. Your kind survives things that should kill you. You win fights you should lose. We needed to know why." "So J1 wasn't the only experiment," Sunmai said. "Oh no, we have many human subjects. Some volunteered, others didn't." Song walked to a screen showing Daho's fights. "You've been our best subject yet. So adaptable, so unpredictable." "I won't be your lab rat," Daho growled. "You already are," Song laughed. "Every fight teaches us more about human potential. Soon we'll understand exactly how to improve our soldiers, or defeat our enemies." Suddenly, alarms started blaring. Song looked at another screen and frowned. "What did you do?" Sunmi smiled. "While he kept you talking, I uploaded everything to the arena's public feeds. Every fighter, every spectator, they're all seeing your secret lab right now." Daho didn't waste time talking. He charged the guards, using moves he'd learned fighting aliens. They weren't ready for human speed and determination. In seconds, both guards were down. Song pulled out a weapon, but Sunmai was faster. She threw a vial of chemicals at him. It broke at his feet, creating thick smoke. When it cleared, Song was gone. "We need to move," Sunmai said. "The whole station will be in chaos soon." They ran through the corridors. On screens everywhere, they could see the truth being broadcast. Aliens were learning how their champions had been used as test subjects, how their fighting styles had been studied for warfare. "The arena guards will be coming," Daho said. "Let them come," Sunmai replied. "We're not the only ones angry about this. Look." On the screens, they could see fights breaking out. Not in the arena, but in the corridors and halls. Former fighters were turning against the guards. Species that had been enemies were now working together against a common foe. "What happens now?" Daho asked, as they reached safer ground. "Now we finish this," Sunmai said. "You're still a champion fighter. And you have something Song never expected." "What's that?" "An army of angry aliens who just learned they've been tricked. And me." She grinned. "Never underestimate angry scientists." Daho nodded. The arena had wanted to study humans. They were about to learn humanity's greatest strength, the ability to turn enemies into allies and bad situations into victories. The real fight was just beginning. Daho and Sunmai reached the fighter quarters just as more alarms started ringing. Fighters of all species filled the halls, some angry, others confused. All of them had seen the truth about the arena on their screens. "We need allies," Sunmai said. "Strong ones." "I know who to ask," Daho replied. He walked to Lyra's office and pushed open the door. Lyra sat at her desk, looking defeated. "I suppose you hate me now," she said. "That depends," Daho answered. "Did you know about the experiments?" "Not at first." Lyra stood up. Her gray skin looked paler than usual. "But then they took my sister, said they'd hurt her if I didn't help them study the fighters. Every report I sent them felt like a betrayal." Sunmai stepped forward. "Where do they keep the prisoners?" "Level B3. The same place they keep the failed experiments." Lyra looked at her screens. "Director Song is gathering his security forces. He'll try to stop the riots first. This might be our only chance to free the prisoners." Daho thought for a moment. "Will you help us?" "Why would you trust me?" Lyra asked. "I betrayed you." "Because you had no choice," Daho said. "And because humans understand doing bad things to protect family." Before Lyra could answer, the door burst open. Guards in heavy armor rushed in, weapons ready. Behind them stood another human, Kang Tai-sung, the arena's champion before Jai won. Director Song sends his regards, Tai Sung said. Unlike Jai won, he looked fully human, but his eyes were cold. Step away from the alien. You work for them? Sun Ma asked, after what they did to other humans. I work for the winners, Tai Sung replied. Song made me strong, made me important, better than being another weak human. Daeho stepped forward. You forgot what real strength is. Tai Sung laughed. Show me then. Fight me in the arena. One last match. Winner takes all. No, Daeho said. I'm done fighting for their entertainment. But Sun Mi touched his arm. Wait. The arena broadcasts to every screen on the station. If you fight, everyone will be watching. Perfect time for a rescue mission. Daeho understood. While he kept everyone distracted, Sun Mi and Lyra could free the prisoners. It was risky, but it might work. Fine, he told Tai Sung. One last fight. In 1 hour. Good. Ta Sung smiled coldly. I'll show everyone what a real enhanced human can do. After the guards left, they'd made their plan. Lyra knew the guard patterns. Sun Mi knew which chemicals could knock out security systems. And Daeho had to survive. Be careful, Sun Mi said as they prepared to split up. Tai Sung has won 30 matches. No one knows how Song enhanced him. Numbers don't matter, Daeho replied. He fights for himself. I fight for everyone it hurt. Lyra checked the time. Security will be focused on the arena during the fight. We'll have maybe 20 minutes to free everyone. It'll be enough, Sun Mi said. She handed Daeho something small. A communication device. We'll tell you when everyone's safe. As Daeho walked toward the arena, other fighters nodded to him. They knew this fight was about more than winning. It was about justice. In the preparation room, he thought about everything he'd learned. The arena's true purpose. The experiments. The betrayals. Now it would all come down to one fight. But this time, he wasn't fighting just to survive. He was fighting to expose the truth, to free the prisoners, and to show the universe what humans really stood for. The arena gates began to open. It was time to finish what he'd started. The arena roared with more noise than ever before. Every seat was full. Every screen was on. Daeho stood in the fighting circle, waiting for Tai Sung. Remember, Sun Mi's voice came through his hidden earpiece. We need 15 minutes. On the other side of the arena, Tai Sung entered. He wore no armor, just simple fighting clothes. He looked normal, but Daeho knew better. Song's experiments had changed him somehow. Welcome to the last human fight in arena history, Tai Sung announced to the crowd. Today, I proved that loyalty to Director Song is the only path to true power. Daeho pressed a button on his wrist. Every screen in the arena changed. Now they showed the secret labs below, where Sun Mi and Lyra were freeing prisoners. No, Daeho said loudly. Today everyone learns the truth. Tai Sung attacked without warning. His speed was incredible, faster than even Jai 1 had been. His first punch caught Daeho in the chest, sending him flying backward. Fool, Tai Sung laughed. Song didn't just make me stronger. He made me perfect. Daeho got up slowly. The punch should have broken bones, but it hadn't. How many others did he hurt to make you perfect? Who cares? The weak exist to make the strong stronger. They fought across the arena. Tai Sung was stronger, faster, seemingly impossible to hurt. But Daeho had fought impossible enemies before. He watched, learned, looked for patterns. 10 minutes, Sun Mi's voice said. Guards are starting to notice something's wrong. Tai Sung landed another hard hit. Give up. You can't win. But Daeho noticed something. Every time Tai Sung used his enhanced speed or strength, he breathed harder afterward, like his body couldn't handle the power. You're not perfect, Daeho said. You're burning out. Lies. Ta Sung moved even faster, throwing more punches. But now Daeho saw the truth. Each enhanced move cost Taisung energy, made him slower afterward. 5 minutes, Sun Mai said. We've found Lyra's sister, but Song's personal guards are coming. Daeho had to end this. He let Taesung attack, dodging just enough to stay alive. Each time, Taesung used more power, got more tired. Why? Won't you die? Taesung gasped between punches. Because I'm not fighting for myself, Daeho answered. I'm fighting for everyone Song has hurt, including you. Taesung screamed and charged, using every bit of enhancement he had, but his body couldn't take it. He stumbled, fell to one knee. Now, Sun Mai yelled in the earpiece. Daeho grabbed the arena's main microphone. Look at your screens, he shouted to the crowd. The arena isn't about sport or honor. It's about turning us into weapons. The screens showed everything. The labs, the rescued prisoners, the horrible experiments. And now they showed Song's guards fighting their way toward the labs. Choose, Daeho yelled to the crowd. Stay slaves to their games, or fight for real freedom. The arena erupted. Fighters jumped from their seats, rushing to help the prisoners. Species that had fought each other for years now worked together against Song's guards. Taesung tried to stand, but his enhanced body had given out. You've ruined everything, he gasped. No, Daeho said. I freed you. We've all been freed. The revolution spread through every level of the station. Song's guards found themselves facing not just angry fighters, but entire species demanding justice. The prisoners are safe, Sun Mai reported, but Song is heading your way, and he's bringing something horrible. Daeho looked at the arena entrance, where alarms were blaring. Good, he said. Let's finish this. The real fight, he knew, was just beginning. But now he had an army behind him. Every fighter, every species united against Tong's cruel experiments. The universe was about to learn why humans never gave up, never surrendered, and never fought alone. The arena's main doors exploded inward. Through the smoke walked Director Song, but he wasn't alone. Behind him stomped a massive creature made from parts of different species, crystal arms, plasma-breathing lungs, metallic skin, and human eyes. Meet my masterpiece, Song announced. Every strength of every species, combined into one perfect warrior. The creature's human eyes fixed on Daeho. They looked familiar. Jae-won, Daeho whispered. What did they do to you? The thing that had been Jae-won roared. Its voice was a horrible mix of mechanical and organic sounds. Song smiled. After you defeated him, we decided to make some improvements. Now he's truly perfect. Sun Mi's voice came through the earpiece. We've secured the lab. But that thing, its readings are off the charts. Daeho watched as Jae-won moved forward. Each step left burning marks on the arena floor. You made him into a monster. I made him into the future, Song said. This is what perfection looks like. The transformed Jae-won attacked. He was faster than Taesung, stronger than the crystalline warrior, more dangerous than any opponent Daeho had faced. Each punch could have killed him instantly. But something was wrong. Ji-won's movements weren't smooth. He seemed to be fighting himself. The human brain, Sun Mai said suddenly in the earpiece. It's still partly his original brain. Song couldn't replicate human thought patterns completely. Daeho understood. Deep inside that monster, Ji-won was still fighting. Still human. Ji-won, he shouted while dodging attacks. Remember who you are. Remember what makes humans special. Kill him, Song ordered. But Jae-won hesitated. His human eyes blinked. Inside the monster, a battle was taking place between machine and man, between Song's control and human will. It's not perfection they gave you, Daeho continued. It's a cage. Break free. Jae-won's crystal arms cracked. His metallic skin rippled. The monster fell to its knees, fighting itself. Impossible. Song screamed. I own you. I control you. No one owns a human spirit, Daeho said. With a terrible scream, Jaiwan turned toward Song. The director tried to run, but he was too late. Crystal arms grabbed him, lifted him high. "What are you doing?" Song yelled. "I made you perfect." "You made me wrong," Jaiwan spoke, his voice breaking through the monster's roar. "But I make myself right." Before anyone could move, Jaiwan used the last of his strength. His body began to glow, energy building up inside him. Song screamed as both of them were consumed in a final blinding explosion. When the light faded, nothing remained of Song or Jaiwan except scattered crystal shards and melted metal. The arena fell silent. Then, slowly, cheers began, not just from humans, but from every species. They had all seen what real strength looked like, not Song's false perfection, but the human spirit that could break free from any cage. Weeks later, Daho stood in the rebuilt arena. It was different now. No more secret labs, no more cruel experiments. Instead, it had become what it always should have been, a place where different species could compete fairly, learn from each other, and grow stronger together. Sun Mi joined him, looking at the new arena rules displayed on the wall. "They're calling it the Jaiwan Memorial Arena now," she said. "A reminder that true strength comes from within, not from modifications." And Lyra. She's the new director. First alien to publicly apologize for the old arena's crimes. She's doing well. Daho nodded. "What about you? Going back to Earth?" "No," Sun Mi smiled. "Someone needs to keep studying alien biology. For healing this time, not hurting. Besides, humans need a good handler here." Above them, the arena's new motto shined. "Victory through spirit, not perfection." A fitting tribute, Daho thought, to all those who had fought for freedom. And a reminder to the universe that humans weren't great because they were perfect. They were great because they never stopped trying to be better.